A shot there of the Tomb of the Unknown, which is at Arlington National Cemetery, just across the Potomac from Washington, D.C. President Trump is expected to go there later today to lay a wreath, but he has started his Memorial Day, as he often does on these holidays, with a lengthy all-caps social media post. We should note this post includes nothing of the sacrifice made by U.S. Armed Forces at home and abroad, but rather, happy Memorial Day to all, including the scum that spent the last 4 years trying to destroy our country. And it goes on from there about immigration, and in particular, a scathing broadside against the judges, the federal judges, including the Supreme Court, that has tried to rein in his immigration policies. We're certainly not going to read all of that missive. You can go to Truth Social if you care to. But that's where the president's mindset is this morning.
Yep. Donald Trump has once again posted a predictably unhinged social media post on a very somber holiday, attacking his political opponents, attacking federal judges, generally bitching and moaning, but doing nothing to actually honor the people that the holiday is about. And the first post was riddled with typos and all sorts of errors, suggesting that he's not on top of it. So he deleted it and then reposted it again. This sort of increasingly unhinged behavior has even got the people who are right now doing a deep dive about President Biden's mental health calling into question Trump's own. And that says something when these people who are laser focused on Biden are like, yeah, Donald Trump is also really scaring the hell out of us. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, the folks at MSNBC weren't going to read the whole thing, but unfortunately we have to really capture the unhinged, insane essence of who this man is. So as Mediaite reports, Trump deletes and reposts lengthy Memorial Day screed slamming scum Democrats. Trump slammed Democrats in a lengthy early morning rant to kick off Memorial Day, deleted it, and then reposted it with fixed typos and additions. Taking to his Truth Social platform just before 7 a.m. on Memorial Day, Trump unleashed the blistering screed. This is the initial post. Happy Memorial Day to all, including the scum that spent the last 4 years trying to destroy our country through warped radical left minds, who allowed 21 million people to illegally enter our country. 21 million people, I think would be like 21 trillion. Doesn't seem right, but we'll continue. Many of the being criminals and mental insane. I assume he means many of them being criminals and the mentally insane, and he screwed that sentence up spectacularly. Through an open border that only an incompetent president would approve. So much for that, half-assed empathy he was trying to show President Biden after the cancer diagnosis. And through judges who are on a mission to keep murderers, drug dealers, rapists, gang members, and released prisoners from all over the world in our country so they can rob murderers and rape again. I assume he means murder and rape again, but instead he says murderers, protected by these USA-hating judges who suffer from an ideology that is sick and very dangerous for our country. Hopefully, the United States Supreme Court and other good and compassionate judges throughout the land will save us from the decisions of the monsters who want our country to go to hell. Yeah, no reference whatsoever to, again, the fallen soldiers that Memorial Day is supposed to honor. But just minutes later, the post was deleted. In its place was a short and sweet, Happy Memorial Day. Very schizophrenic, very bipolar behavior coming from Trump. But the report says Trump wasn't done, as the original post reappeared, this time fixing several typos and adding, "But fear not, we have made great progress over the last 4 months, and America will soon be safe and great again. Again, Happy Memorial Day, and God bless America." The post was Trump's second eye-opening social media rant in just a few hours. He attacked Vladimir Putin. We'll probably do a video about that, maybe. As people point out, he almost sounds sane, as if you just stop reading after Happy Memorial Day, right? It's like that great movie, My Cousin Vinny, where the judge allows Vinny to, make his opening statement before the court, and then once he gets done, it was so unhinged. He tells like the clerk and the stenographer to strike everything from the record after after the first sentence, that sort of thing. Joe Walsh, former Republican congressman, says no president disrespects our troops more than Trump does. He called American service members who died in war, quote, losers and suckers. His Memorial Day message here is no surprise because today is about something Trump has zero understanding of, sacrifice. Trump is the antithesis of sacrifice. As Midas Touch journalist and lawyer Aaron Parnas points out, if Joe Biden posted this Memorial Day message, The mainstream media and Republicans would say he's completely unfit to serve, with many calling for the invocation of the 25th Amendment. Because it's Trump, everyone remains silent. That's true. If this were Joe Biden, it wouldn't just be Fox News and Tim Pool and the Daily Wire and Republican lawmakers. It would be CNN, MSNBC, the New York Times. There would be op-ed after op-ed after op-ed. Jake Tapper would be on the air saying, you know what, this is not right. This guy is not well. This is completely antithetical to who we are. The 25th Amendment should be invoked. But Trump is graded on a curve. And that is a problem for all the reasons that we've discussed. Donald Trump is the current president, not the former president, the current president, and we're 4 months into a 4-year term. He is the oldest president to ever serve. He's older now than President Biden was at this point in the Biden presidency. And on top of that, as I've mentioned in previous conversations, like even on my Live and Learn podcast, Biden obviously suffered from age-related cognitive decline. Okay, and we're learning new details about the extent of it according to report. But Biden was a smart, experienced man suffering from cognitive decline related to age. Donald Trump is much worse because Donald Trump is in an age-related cognitive decline. Compare Trump now, his public messages, to 4 years ago or the 4 years before that. So compare it to 2020 Trump versus 2016 Trump versus 2005 Trump versus 1994 Trump. And you can see a cognitive decline over the years. But what's worse is Trump is just much dumber than Joe Biden ever was. He's a genuinely stupid man who's in a state of cognitive decline and who's also a malignant narcissist and a bully. This is a dangerous combination, right? The mental deficits with which Trump is dealing are far more alarming for many reasons than the ones that plague Biden. And I think it says something that in this moment, you have Alex Thompson, a right-wing journalist from Axios, and Jake Tapper. They co-authored a book called Original Sin, which is this explosive deep dive into President Biden's mental decline. But it says something that, again, in this moment, even they, or at least Alex Thompson, when asked, is like, yeah, we should also be talking about Donald Trump too. So I want to play this clip from a recent MSNBC interview where Eamon from MSNBC actually confronts Alex Thompson about that. Like, hey, isn't there a double standard here? And shouldn't you be focusing on the current president as much or more than the former president?
If you take the lessons learned from the book, both about where the country is on having elder presidents and, more importantly, where the media is there a double standard in which, in a way, the way the media covered Joe Biden's health versus Donald Trump's health during the campaign? And certainly now, is there a double standard with the way we are covering it? I mean, are you out there also investigating and reporting about Trump's health in the same rigor that you did this book?
I'm so glad you asked this question, because while we didn't know that much about Joe Biden's health, we know even less about Donald Trump's health. He was completely untransparent during the 2023-2024 campaign. He has not been transparent since, and there is no mechanism forcing him or any future president to being transparent about their health. He could be on anything. We really have no idea. So I think it's like a really vital question. I will say that, in 2023, I wrote an entire piece about how Donald Trump had not been transparent about any of his health. The last month or two, I admittedly have been busy with this book, so I have not returned to the subject. But I think it's a completely fair. Donald Trump was older on his inauguration day than Joe Biden was on his. Donald Trump's health is completely fair game, and there should be an incredibly investigative reporting onto how it's affecting his job as president.
Coming from this guy, that says something. I mean, this dude is hyper-fixated on Joe Biden. Listen, as far as I'm concerned, Joe Biden's fair game. If you're a public official and people want to do deep dives or investigative reports into you, that's fine. That's why, all these Republicans are like, we should have an investigation into Joe Biden's presidency and his mental fitness. Now, I think it's rather a waste of time given that Joe Biden is no longer president and will never be president again and is currently suffering from stage 4 cancer. But I don't think it's forbidden. I just think that given your limited time and political capital, if you really want to do a service to the country, you would be focusing on the current president, the one who actually has the power. But I digress. That's fair game. Journalists should actually be doing that calculus in their head. Okay, so you have a former president who's dying and a current president whose health is, ambiguous to us, but we see signs of all sorts of issues. I mean, they go on. Catherine Rampell and others. The girl in green, the economist, one of my favorite people. She used to be on CNN. Now she's on MSNBC hosting this weekend show. She, asks after this particular clip, like, okay, well, we don't know, you're right, much officially about Donald Trump's health, but we hear him and we see him, and he says shit that Joe Biden never did. And if Biden said this, I feel like there'd be a total uproar, and it seems like people are glossing over it. And she's right to point out that double standard. It says something that Alex Thompson, who has a vested interest in keeping the focus solely on Joe Biden's mental health to plug his book, is like, yeah, we actually know even less about Donald Trump's health, and Donald Trump is older than Joe Biden was at this point in his presidency. He was less transparent than Joe Biden was. And again, there are signs of serious mental deterioration from Donald Trump as well. Again, just a massive tacit concession there. And I'm glad Eamon asked the question. Catherine Rampell followed up. There you have it. Donald Trump, again, increasingly unhinged, predictably unhinged, but even more so, just shitting out these stupid tweets, filled with typos and errors. And at all, none of it includes the actual topic of Memorial Day and the people who Memorial Day seeks to honor. Because, as Joe Walsh points out, not only, again, is Trump a malignant narcissist and a moron in a state of cognitive decline, he also just doesn't give a damn about people, let alone veterans. So there you have it. This is the person that we're going to be stuck with for the next 3.5 years at a minimum. And people should be asking more questions than just me and other channels like me. Food for thought. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.